Of all the conversations we will ever have, which is the one we fear the most? For many, it is not a confrontation with a rival or a difficult negotiation with a boss. It is the quiet, uncertain moment we find ourselves at the bedside of someone we care about, someone who is nearing the end of their life. In that sacred, fragile space, a profound silence often hangs in the air, a silence we feel an overwhelming urge to fill. But with what? What words can possibly measure up to the gravity of the moment? What can we say that will bring comfort and not an unintended sting of pain? Have you ever found yourself in this position, your mind racing, your heart heavy, utterly at a loss for the right thing to say? If so, you are not alone. Our modern society, so adept at celebrating life, growth, and progress, often treats death as a failure, a taboo topic to be avoided until it is upon us. This cultural awkwardness leaves us unprepared, armed only with a collection of well-meaning but ultimately hollow platitudes. We say things we think are comforting only to see a flicker of disappointment or a shadow of isolation cross the face of the person we so desperately want to support. This article is a journey into that difficult space, guided by the wisdom of those who navigate it every single day, hospice nurses. These compassionate professionals have spent countless hours bearing witness to life's final chapter. They have seen firsthand how certain words, even those spoken with the purest intentions, can create barriers, add burdens, and deepen loneliness. Conversely, they have also seen how a different kind of communication, one rooted in presence, honesty, and acceptance, can become a powerful source of peace and dignity. We will explore 7 of the most common yet most damaging things we say to those who are dying. This is not an exercise in judgment or shame. Rather, it is an invitation to understand the hidden impact of our words and to learn a more conscious, more compassionate way of connecting when it matters most. What you discover here may not only transform how you approach these final tender moments, but it may also deepen your understanding of what it means to truly be present for another human being. This is a skill that will not only serve you in times of loss, but will enrich every relationship in your life. 1. The fallacy of understanding. I know what you're going through. It is perhaps the most instinctive phrase to leave our lips when confronted with another suffering. I know how you feel, or I know what you're going through. We say it as an offering, a bridge of empathy meant to convey solidarity. We are trying to say, you are not alone in this. I have touched a similar pain, and I am with you. The intention is born of kindness, a desire to connect on a fundamental level. We reach into our own past, find a memory of loss, illness, or fear, and try to lay it alongside theirs as a gesture of shared experience. Yet, as hospice nurses have shared time and time again, for the person hearing these words from their deathbed, the effect can be precisely the opposite. Instead of feeling seen, they can feel profoundly misunderstood. The truth is, we can never truly know. Each person's journey to the end of life is as unique as their fingerprint, shaped by an entire lifetime of individual memories, regrets, unfulfilled dreams, private fears, and personal beliefs. To claim we know what they are experiencing is to inadvertently flatten their deeply personal and sacred reality into something generic. It can feel as though we are not truly listening to their story, but rather superimposing our onto it. Consider the story of Charles, an 82-year-old man with a sharp mind but a failing body, who spent his final weeks in hospice care. He once confided in a nurse that the physical pain was manageable, but the emotional pain of well-meaning visitors was at times excruciating. They all come in here, he whispered, and they tell me they understand. One woman told me she knew because her father had the same illness. But did her father love the same woman I did for 60 years? Did he worry about the same unfinished projects in his workshop? Did he have my specific memories, my specific fears about what comes next? When they say they know, it feels like they're closing the book on me before I've even had a chance to read them the last page. What Charles craved was not a declaration of shared experience, but the quiet humility of a witness. He longed for someone to simply sit with him in the great, unknowable mystery of his final days, without pretending to have a map. The alternative to "I know what you feel" is a far more powerful, honest, and connecting statement. I can't possibly imagine what this feels like for you, but I want you to know I'm here. I'm here to listen if you want to talk, and I'm here to be silent with you if you don't. This simple shift in language accomplishes something profound. It validates the uniqueness of their journey, it honors their experience as their own, and it offers the one thing that is truly ours to give: our unwavering, non-judgmental presence. It is in this space of not knowing that true connection is often born. If this first principle of authentic listening resonates with you, and you want to commit to being a better witness for those in need, please comment with the number 1 below to let us know. 2. The tyranny of positivity. You have to stay positive, or keep fighting. Our culture is steeped in the language of battle when it comes to illness. We are told to fight cancer, to beat disease, to be a warrior or a survivor. When we visit someone who is dying, this warrior mentality often comes with us. We see them as a soldier on a battlefield, and we feel our role is to be the cheerleader on the sidelines, shouting words of encouragement. Stay positive, you can beat this, don't give up the fight. We say these things because we love them, and we cannot bear the thought of them losing. We believe that a positive mindset is a weapon, and that to stop fighting is to surrender. But for the person whose body is succumbing to a terminal illness, these words can land not as encouragement, but as an exhausting and heavy burden. Imagine running a marathon, and after 26 agonizing miles, with your legs screaming and your lungs burning, you collapse just shy of the finish line. As you lie there, utterly spent, a spectator rushes over and yells, "Get up! You have to finish the race! Keep fighting!" While they mean well, their words ignore the reality of your exhaustion. They are asking for something you no longer have the capacity to give. For a person nearing the end of life, the fight may already be over, and not because of a lack of will, but because of the simple, undeniable reality of their condition. Urging them to stay positive can feel like being told to wear a mask, to hide their authentic feelings of fear, sadness, or exhaustion behind a brave face. It can inadvertently send the message that their true feelings are unacceptable or a sign of weakness. It can isolate them at the very moment they need to be most authentic. My neighbor Helen, a vibrant 79-year-old woman who had lived a full and feisty life, shared this with me during her time in hospice. "Everyone who comes to visit tells me I'm a fighter," she said, her voice thin but clear. And I was. I fought for years. But I'm tired now, and when they tell me to keep fighting, I feel so terribly alone. It's like they can't see me, the real me, who is just so tired and ready to rest. It makes me feel like I'm disappointing them. What brought Helen comfort were not the calls to battle, but the gentle words of a friend who sat by her bed, held her hand, and said, "You have been so incredibly strong for so long. It's okay to rest now. I'm here with you no matter what." Those words were a balm. They offered not pressure, but permission. They replaced the demands to fight with an embrace of acceptance. The alternative to fight harder is to acknowledge the totality of their journey, the fight they have already fought, and to give them the profound gift of peace. It's about shifting our support from cheering for a battle to providing a safe harbor for a well-worn soul to finally come ashore. What are your thoughts on this warrior narrative we so often apply to illness? Do you think it's helpful or harmful? Share your perspective in the comments below. And if you're finding this analysis valuable and want to support our mission of creating thoughtful content, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. 3. The unhelpful grand design. It's all part of a bigger plan. When faced with the profound and often seemingly senseless reality of death, it is a natural human impulse to search for meaning. We look for a reason, a silver lining, a way to frame the suffering as part of a larger, coherent narrative. For many, this takes the form of spiritual or philosophical belief. Phrases like, "This is all part of God's plan," or "There's a reason for everything," are often spoken from a place of genuine faith and a desire to offer transcendent comfort. The intention is to lift the person's gaze from their immediate pain to a higher purpose, suggesting that their experience, however difficult, is not meaningless chaos. However, hospice caregivers frequently observe how these words can feel deeply dismissive to the person who is actually living the experience. When you are in the throes of physical discomfort, emotional turmoil, or existential fear, being told that your suffering is a preordained part of some cosmic blueprint can feel incredibly invalidating. It can sound as if your present moment pain is being minimized, treated as a mere plot point in a story you may not even believe in, or one you are currently questioning with all your heart. It can make a person feel that their legitimate feelings of anger, injustice, or sadness are somehow misplaced or lacking in faith. I once knew an 84-year-old woman named Ruth, a retired librarian with a quiet but fierce intellect. She was not an outwardly religious person, and as her illness progressed, she wrestled deeply with questions of meaning. She shared that the most difficult visits were from well-meaning friends from her old church group. "They tell me it's God's will and part of His plan," she explained, her brow furrowed in frustration. "I know they are trying to be kind, but it feels like they are giving me an answer before I've even finished asking the question. My fear is real. My pain is real. I don't need a neat and tidy explanation for it. I just need someone to sit with me in the messiness of it all." Ruth's longing was not for answers, but for companionship in the face of life's biggest questions. The alternative to offering a grand plan is to humbly enter into the mystery alongside them. It is to offer a ministry of presence, not of explanation. Instead of saying, "It's all part of a plan," we can say something far more grounded and empathetic, like, "This is so incredibly hard, and I'm so sorry you have to go through it." We can hold a hand, offer a sip of water, or simply sit in shared silence. In doing so, we communicate something far more powerful than any theological assertion. Your feelings are valid. Your pain is seen. You are not alone in this moment. True comfort often comes not from grand, abstract philosophies, but from small, concrete acts of love and presence. This brings us to our third crucial point of communication. If you agree that offering presence is more powerful and respectful than offering unsolicited platitudes, no matter how well-intentioned, please comment with the number 3 below to affirm this idea of compassionate companionship. 4. The suppression of sorrow. Don't cry, or you need to be strong. Tears make us uncomfortable. When we see someone we love begin to cry, especially someone in a state of profound vulnerability, our immediate instinct is often to stop the tears. We rush in with tissues and a flurry of words. "Oh, don't cry. You have to be strong. There, it's okay." We do this because we mistakenly believe that tears are a sign of surrender, of giving in to despair. We also do it for ourselves. Another person's raw, unfiltered grief can reflect our own helplessness, and we try to shut it down to ease our own discomfort. We think we are helping them pull themselves together. In reality, we may be doing profound harm. Hospice nurses emphasize that for a person at the end of life, the freedom to express their emotions is a vital part of the process. Tears are not the enemy. They are a language. They can be a release of fear, a mourning of losses past and future, an expression of love, or a way of communicating what is simply too overwhelming for words. When we tell someone not to cry, we are, in essence, telling them that their feelings are inappropriate, a burden, or something to be ashamed of. We are putting a cork in a bottle that is already under immense pressure, forcing them to perform strength at a time when they most need the release of authenticity. In reality, we may be doing profound harm. Hospice nurses emphasize that for a person at the end of life, the freedom to express their emotions is a vital part of the process. Tears are not the enemy. They are a language. They can be a release of fear, a mourning of losses past and future, an expression of love, or a way of communicating what is simply too overwhelming for words. When we tell someone not to cry, we are, in essence, telling them that their feelings are inappropriate, a burden, or something to be ashamed of. We are putting a cork in a bottle that is already under immense pressure, forcing them to perform strength at a time when they most need the release of authenticity. Think of Walter, an 80-year-old former construction worker, a man who had spent his entire life being the strong one. As he lay in his hospice bed, his tough exterior began to crumble, revealing the scared and tender man beneath. One afternoon, his daughter was sitting with him, quietly reminiscing about their family life. Walter's eyes welled up, and silent tears began to trace paths down his weathered cheeks. His daughter, instead of shushing him, simply moved her chair closer, took his hand, and began to cry with him. He later told his nurse that this was one of the most peaceful moments of his final weeks. "All my life I was told boys don't cry," he said. "Everyone keeps telling me to be brave. But when my little girl cried with me, it was like she was saying it was okay to not be brave for a minute. It was the biggest relief of my life." In that shared moment of vulnerability, a lifetime of suppressed emotion was allowed to surface and be honored. His tears were not a sign of weakness. They were a testament to a life fully lived and a love deeply felt. The greatest gift his daughter gave him was not telling him to be strong, but giving him a safe space to be weak. The most healing response to tears is not to stop them, but to welcome them. It's okay to cry. Let it all out. I'm right here with you. Have you ever felt pressured to hide your emotions during a difficult time? Or have you witnessed someone else being told to be strong? We'd be honored if you shared your experience or thoughts in the comments. Your story can help others feel less alone in their own struggles. And if these conversations are meaningful to you, please remember to hit the notification bell after you subscribe so you never miss an update. 5. The denial of reality. I know you're going to get better. Of all the phrases spoken at a deathbed, this one may be the most heartbreakingly common. Uttered from a place of desperate hope and profound love, "You're going to get better," or "You'll be out of here in no time," is a fierce refusal to accept the impending loss. We say it because we cannot imagine a world without this person in it. We say it because the alternative is too painful to contemplate. In many ways, this statement is less for the dying person and more for ourselves, a shield we hold up against a devastating reality. While the intention is to instill hope, the impact on the person who is dying can be one of deep confusion and isolation. A person who has been told they have a terminal illness, who feels their own body weakening day by day, often knows their truth on a visceral level. They may have already begun the difficult work of acceptance, or may still be wrestling with it, but they are living in that reality. When we insist on a different one, we create a chasm between us and them. We are essentially communicating that we cannot handle their truth, that their reality is too much for us to bear. This forces them into an impossible position. They must either play along with our fantasy to protect our feelings, which adds an exhausting layer of pretense to their already difficult situation, or they must take on the additional burden of helping us face the truth we are so desperately avoiding. It can make them feel utterly unseen, as if the most significant event of their life is being denied. This is a subtle, unintentional form of gaslighting, where their lived experience is implicitly questioned. Eileen, an 83-year-old woman known for her gentle pragmatism, shared how draining it was when certain family members would visit. "They come in full of bright smiles and tell me they're saving a seat for me at Christmas dinner," she told her nurse. "I know they love me, but it makes my heart ache. It's like we're in two different rooms, talking through a wall. They're in the room of miracles, and I'm in the room of letting go." The visits that brought her the most comfort were from friends who were willing to enter her room, to sit with her in the quiet truth of their situation. They didn't dwell on the future, they cherished the present. They would say things like, "I'm so glad I get to be here with you today," or they would simply talk about shared memories. The alternative to false promises of recovery is the deep and abiding power of presence. It is to honor their reality, no matter how painful it is for us. It means meeting them exactly where they are. This honesty, wrapped in unwavering kindness and affection, is what builds a bridge of trust. It gives them the profound dignity of being seen and believed in their final days, which is a far greater gift than any false hope. This is our fifth guiding principle, and it's a challenging one because it asks us to confront our own fears. If you are committed to the courageous act of offering honest presence over false hope, please show your support by typing the number 5 in the comments below. 6. The cliché of causality. Everything happens for a reason. This phrase is a close cousin to "it's all part of a bigger plan," but it often carries a more secular, philosophical weight. It is a cognitive shortcut, a way for the human mind to impose order on what feels like random, cruel chaos. When we see suffering we cannot explain, we reach for this maxim as a way to make sense of the senseless. We say it with the intention of reassuring someone that their pain is not arbitrary, that there is some underlying logic or lesson to be found within it. We hope to provide a sense of purpose to their ordeal. For the person experiencing the end of their life, however, this phrase can feel like the cheapest of cliches, a hollow and dismissive summary of their profound struggle. At that moment, they may be wrestling with immense physical pain, the grief of leaving loved ones, or a deep sense of injustice. To be told that everything happens for a reason can sound like you are saying their suffering is justified, or that they should be looking for a neat moral at the end of a tragic story. It can completely invalidate the raw, messy, and often unreasonable nature of their experience. What reason could possibly feel sufficient when you are losing everything you've ever known and loved? I remember a man named Henry, a thoughtful 85-year-old retired history professor. He spent his last months reflecting on the grand sweep of his life, its triumphs and its regrets. He found the "everything happens for a reason" sentiment particularly grating. "It's an intellectual insult," he once remarked to his hospice aide. "It shuts down the conversation. It presumes to have an answer to the most complex question of existence. What I need is not an answer from someone else. What I need is a space to explore my own questions, to find my own meaning, or to make peace with the lack of one." Henry found that the most meaningful moments came not when friends offered him pre-packaged reasons, but when they simply created an open space for his own reflections. A friend who sat with him and said, "What's been on your mind lately, Henry?" gave him a far greater gift than anyone who offered a platitude. This open-ended curiosity allowed Henry to be the author of his own meaning-making process. The most supportive thing we can do is to be a quiet and respectful audience to their internal search. Instead of offering reasons, we can offer our attention. We can share a specific fond memory. "I was just thinking about that hilarious time we went fishing and you lost your hat," which grounds the conversation in the reality of their life and your shared connection, rather than an abstract philosophy. This honors their journey by allowing them to find or not find their own reasons. This is a profound distinction between imposing meaning and allowing it to emerge. Have you ever been told everything happens for a reason during a difficult time? How did it make you feel? We invite you to share your story in the comments. Your experience can be deeply validating for others. And if this content is resonating with you, please consider sharing this article with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to like and subscribe. 7. The directives of dying. You should feel, or you need to be. This final pitfall is perhaps the most insidious, as it directly strips a dying person of their autonomy and emotional freedom. It comes in many forms. You should be at peace with this by now. You shouldn't be so angry. You need to be brave for your family. You should be feeling grateful for the life you've had. Each of these statements, no matter how gently spoken, is a directive. It's a script for how to die correctly based on our own expectations, fears, or cultural ideals of a good death. We try to manage their emotional state, steering them toward the feelings we are more comfortable witnessing. Hospice nurses caution that this is one of the most damaging things we can do. It tells the person that their authentic, spontaneous feelings are wrong. It puts them in the position of having to perform for us, to live up to our standard of how a dying person ought to behave. But there is no ought in dying. The end of life can bring forth the entire spectrum of human emotion. Profound peace, yes, but also gut-wrenching fear, bitter regret, irrational anger, deep sadness, or even a surprising sense of humor. All of these feelings are valid parts of that person's unique human experience. To tell them how they should feel is to deny their very humanity in their most vulnerable moment. Consider the story of Samuel, 84, a man who had always been a bit of a curmudgeon, but was loved for his sharp wit and honesty. In his final days, he was often irritable and scared, and he didn't hide it. Some family members were distressed by his lack of peaceful acceptance, but his sister, who knew him best, offered him the greatest gift.
She sat by his bed one day, took his hand, and said, "Sam, you can be as angry as you want. You can be as scared as you want. You can feel whatever you need to feel, and I'm not going anywhere. I'll just be here with you through all of it." Samuel later told his nurse that those words were like a key unlocking a cage he didn't even know he was in. He said, "Everyone else wanted me to be the gentle, wise old man fading into the sunset. She was the only one who let me just be me, a scared, grumpy old man who didn't want to go." That simple, radical acceptance from his sister gave him the freedom to finally relax, and in the days that followed, moments of genuine peace began to surface naturally, not because they were demanded of him, but because he was finally given the space to feel everything else first. The ultimate act of love is to offer unconditional emotional permission. The alternative to telling them how to feel is the simple, powerful message: whatever you are feeling is okay. You are safe to feel it here with me. This final principle of unconditional acceptance is perhaps the most profound gift we can offer. If you are committed to giving others the freedom to be authentically themselves in their most vulnerable moments, please complete our journey together by commenting with the number 7 below.
As we bring our exploration to a close, the 7 insights from these dedicated hospice nurses weave together to form a single, powerful tapestry. The message is not about memorizing a list of forbidden phrases or finding the perfect magic words to say. The perfect words do not exist. Instead, the core lesson is about a fundamental shift in our approach, a shift from doing to being, from fixing to witnessing, from speaking to listening. We've seen that saying, "I know how you feel," can erase a person's unique experience, while "I can't imagine, but I'm here" honors it. We've learned that urging someone to fight harder can add a burden, while giving them permission to rest can be a profound relief. We've understood that offering grand explanations, like "it's part of a plan," can feel dismissive, while simply acknowledging "this is so hard" validates their pain. From creating a safe space for tears to honoring their truth over false hope, and from allowing them their own meaning-making to giving them unconditional permission to feel whatever they feel, all of these alternatives point to the same North Star: authentic, compassionate presence. In the end, what people who are dying need most from us is not our advice, our philosophy, or our manufactured positivity. They need our quiet companionship. They need to know that their truth, in all its messy, beautiful, and painful complexity, is safe with us. They need to feel seen, heard, and loved for exactly who they are in that moment. This is the sacred work of being a true companion on life's final journey. After all this analysis, what is the most important lesson you've learned for yourself? What is the one small change you will make the next time you are called to sit in that sacred, quiet space with another? Let us know your most important takeaway in the comments below. Your thoughts and reflections are a vital part of this community, and reading them gives us tremendous encouragement to continue these important conversations. If you found this article helpful and believe it offers valuable insights, please support our work by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this with others who may benefit. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our future explorations into the meaningful aspects of life. Thank you for walking this path with us today. Your presence here matters. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.